Yeah.
So if I don't focus,
I can watch the interpreter. I mean,
Yeah.
I've also been signing a while, so I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't.
You get
that part
used to it.
But as far as interpreting, I can't retain things and interpret at the same time. So, and I can't. Yeah, it does not work. Hey, come on in. You're fine. We haven't even really started yet. It's my fault. So, but no, I'm the same way. When I'm up there interpreting, it's don't ask me what he said afterwards, because you're not going to get
uses the whiteboard.
you're not going to get a short answer. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So and that's why,
Yeah, I don't-
why also you'll see us switch off so much with the interpreters, because most interpreters are like that. There's some people who, like, when they interpret something, it's just like they got it. But that is rare.
Yeah.
Most interpreters don't really retain what they interpret, and so that's why we're always switching off, because you know, you gotta get something from church.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
you should try
yeah, you
it.
should try to get something. You shouldn't be up there like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
So,
So,
Yes.
question, sometimes I see, if you're saying God, I'll see that, I'll see this.
this is Christ.
Oh, okay.
This is Christ.
Okay.
Yeah. So Christ, and this is actually God. God and Christ. And this is Jesus. The nails in the hands and everything. So, but sometimes you'll see us reference God like this. That's more of just us saying Him. Him. It's more of just using the pronoun there. Yep. That's Christ. So we got the whole Trinity there. Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit. So all right, let's go ahead and pray, and then we'll actually start. Dear Lord, Father, thank you for this class. Help us to study this language, to use it for your honor. Thank you for the opportunity you give me to teach. Help me to be clear. I love you, Father, in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, yeah, you saw it there? Jesus. Yeah, it's okay when I'm praying in here and I'm signing. Feel free to watch, like especially like in church. I know it. Once I got broken of the habit, it's really messed me up.
Yeah.
Like once I started watching the interpreter during prayers and stuff, now I always forget to bow my head during prayer. I'm always like, oh yeah. So it happens to me all the time. It's really that habit has really messed me up.
Yeah.
But breaking that habit, like before, anytime someone was like, "Let's pray," it was like instant. Now I'm like, I got to think to do it. Because when you're watching the interpreter, or like if when I was in college, I'd go to a deaf service a lot, and you just don't close your eyes when there's group prayer, because how will you know when it's done? I mean, you'll be up there like, you just be standing there like this, and everyone's like leaving, and you're just like. So I mean, it's really funny to watch like new hearing people, because that's what they'll do. They'll, because they're still in the habit, and it'll be done, and they're still like just standing there. Everyone's like sitting down and stuff, and there's someone's like, hey, sit down. They're like, oh, okay. It's really funny. So, but it happens. It happens to everybody. Yeah,
Is it all or is it all?
Yes.
I noticed you say, I see you do like this
Yes,
instead
yes.
of all.
The answer is yes on that. There are two signs for all. You could spell it all. I usually actually do it with the back of my hand, all, or you could sign all. So you got two options. I like this one because it gives me more flexibility with how I sign it. So I could say all of you. You could do all of me. I could do like this book, all of it. So I like that flexibility on how I use it, but I still use this one often. So,
Let me see how the loop I was.
yeah. And say what?
I just want to see how the loop I was.
Yeah, nope, you're fine. Both are good.
Okay.
So both are good. There's not a difference except for this one. You can do it directionally and have some some flexibility with how you use it. But this one's just all.
I'm looking at my wall.
This one can be better for emphasis though, like all of it. So it really kind of drives that home. So, any other questions? Yes.
Yes, on Sunday, I noticed when, I think in the passage, there was a conversation between two people, and you turned your body as if you were talking to that person.
Yes, that is what we call body shifting in sign language, and that is it's used for a lot of different things. One of them is showing conversations, because in sign language you just don't go he said, she said. You become the people. So say for example, and you can even show that with how you look too. So for example, we'll use a conversation between like a person and God. I'd have the person, signing to God, and then God, looking down on them and stuff to show that difference there. You also use that for like positions of authority, for instance. So say, example, I'm interpreting in a classroom, and you have a student and a teacher. Say the deaf student's not involved in the conversation. You know, I might just show it's a student. I would be looking up and interpreting it, and then show it's the teacher, I'd be looking down, just to kind of show their relative positions in it. So, I'm sorry?
Like charades.
It is kind of like charades. Another time you would use body shifting is when you're comparing and contrasting two things. Sometimes more, but it's most of the time used for two. Over two, you tend to use listening. So, example of that would be like, I have two children. My son, Oliver. So this means stubborn. So I'm saying he's not, now I'm referencing him over here, he's nice, she's stubborn. You know, I'm referencing the two back and forth, and I don't even have to say Oliver then, I'm just pointing over here, glancing over here, and that means him, this means her. And so that's another thing you use it for. Interpreters get in a lot of trouble because we're hearing and we're not used to using it the same as deaf people are, and then we get them switched, and then it gets all out of whack, and nobody knows what we're talking about, and that really messes up a lot of interpreters. So it's important to keep those straight. But that's another use of body shifting. Do we have any other questions? Nothing? No signs that you all, no words that popped up where you're like, what's that sign? Any of those?
Is the baby here?
The baby is not here. No, the baby is not here. My wife was due last Saturday, and we're still waiting. So, she's got an appointment tomorrow. They'll set up a time to induce her. So, we'll see what happens. We could still have the baby tonight. Anytime. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now as things are starting to make more sense to me,
Good.
which and today, to me look the same.
Which and today?
Yeah, which
Which.
here, and today, that looks the same.
This is which.
Oh,
Just
okay.
those which. Today is just bouncing.
Okay, so the direction makes a difference.
Yes, the movement is different. This one moves this way, this way.
Okay.
This one moves down. And the hand shape's a little different too. You have to keep
Okay,
these out.
I see that.
On
now.
today.
Yeah,
Mhm.
very cool.
Today, they are similar though. Especially pictures are so imperfect for ASL. It's really, it works. It's the best we got for this class, but it's not the best. Like at work, we have, I don't know if you all are, if you've taken college classes recently, you might have heard of the program Canvas.
Yeah.
Some of you know, or some of you who are in the schools now have heard of it. It's like an online learning thing where I can put like information on there, and I use it at work, and I put videos of me signing all of our vocab words on there. We don't have Canvas here because it's like super expensive program that, it's, we wouldn't use it enough for a class like this, but
So,
there are better ways to do it, but we just have pictures.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
so that does bring me to a question that I had. Would you recommend any place to look for the proper American Sign Language videos?
Like dictionaries and things like that.
Tutorial videos or something?
Yeah, okay. You have two different questions. Are you looking for more of like lessons? Or are you looking for more of being able to look up single signs?
Single signs,
All right, you have a few options there.
okay?
So one of my favorites is aslpro.com.
Okay.
Do I have it listed in this
Yeah,
book?
yeah. It's on the back page.
Oh, okay, I see
Is
that
it on the
now.
back page?
Yeah,
In the back.
thank you, I
ASL,
did not look that far.
Signing Savvy, I think, is also on there. That is another excellent one.
Signing Savvy,
Yep. Is that one on there?
I don't see that.
Okay, yeah, Signing Savvy. If you just Google it, I personally like ASL Pro more. There's a lot of people who like Signing Savvy more. It really doesn't matter. You're going to get good signs from either one.
Thank you.
I like the ASL Pro one because I know all of their signs are Texas signs, and so I can make adjustments from that. Signing Savvy, I'm not really sure where they get their signs because there's a lot of regional
Gotcha,
differences, and I'm
yes.
never really sure with them. But I know with ASL Pro, if I'm looking at that, I know it's a Texas sign. So if there's one that doesn't make sense to me, I know they're from Texas. So if that makes sense at all. Any other questions? Those are good resources to use. If you're looking for, I will say this, if you're looking for more lessons, There is a website called LifePrint. They have a small sign language dictionary, which is, it's okay, it's a good dictionary. But the real strength there is they have about 30 lessons online, all about an hour each, maybe 45 minutes to an hour each, 1 through 30, and they are some fantastic lessons. He is a deaf professor. He recorded all these lessons. It's him with a student, and they're signing back and forth. It's all ASL, and it's one of the best free resources you're going to find. Probably right up there with it is Gallaudet. Just started putting out basic sign language classes online. So if you're not familiar with Gallaudet, that is the Deaf University in Washington, D.C.
How are you spelling it?
The sign is Gallaudet. I'm just using the sign.
Yeah, but how do you spell it to look it up?
Good question. It's got 2 T's in it. It's Gallaudet.
Okay.
Gallaudet.
Yeah, Gallaudet, and you can just type in like sign language classes or something like that, and they'll pop up. It's a new resource. It's really cool too, and it's Gallaudet. It was the.
They're in Washington,
It's
D.C.
in Washington,
basically.
D.C. It was the first deaf university. It's
Yeah.
still the most prestigious one.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's a nice school. It's the Harvard of deaf colleges.
Yeah.
That's the best way to think of it. I mean, it's in the deaf world, it is equal to that. If there's an interpreter who comes up and they're like, "Oh yeah, my interpreter training's from Gallaudet." It's kind of like, "Whoa, well, la-ti-da." You know, it's like, wow. You know, it says something in that world. So they have some great resources online also. Those are some of the best online resources you're going to get.
Yeah, it's primarily deaf school, so if you're a hearing
It
who
is.
gets in, you're really,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of the things also like with their interpreter program is they don't
Yeah.
teach sign language there.
mm-mm.
So if you're in their interpreter program, you already know sign language, and they teach how to interpret it,
Yeah.
and the ethics and the professionalism and all those things. It's pretty cool. But it's a totally deaf university. All their classes are taught in sign language. It's the whole thing. It's really cool. It's actually, if you saw the news of that deaf Starbucks,
Mhm.
y'all see that in the news probably 6 months ago now. That is like right by Gallaudet. That's why that was able to last, because they tried the same thing in New York a couple years ago with a deaf restaurant, and it closed down. Y'all had seen that one in the news. It closed down, but I mean the restaurant business is just hard anyways, and there's not enough customers. But right next to Gallaudet, they got plenty of customers.
So what is the name of the website that has the 1 through 30 classes?
LifePrint.
LifePrint?
Yep, LifePrint. Is that one in there?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh,
It
okay.
is, yep.
Very good.
Yeah, and I put their dictionary in there, but they have the lessons right on their homepage. It's really that's their big thing. The dictionary just kind of supports their classes. So it's not as comprehensive as the other ones. Other questions? This is good.
One more.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We can have more than one more. It's
Okay.
okay.
Well, you just signed T, but instead of this, you did this.
Because it was a
It's-
double
It's the
T.
double T.
Oh,
So-
so it's not, it's,
Yes. There's
Yeah.
multiple ways.
Yeah.
There are a few letters. We didn't get into this because you go a lot
I thought it
deeper.
was just like,
I
you
gave
just
you
did the
all-
little hump for a
For
double
our
letter.
purposes, I gave you all the overview of finger spelling.
Yeah,
But you can go a lot deeper into it. There, for certain letters, there's a lot of different ways to do double letters.
Oh,
T,
okay.
N, and M, you can T, N, and M for double letters. Some of them you can squeeze also, like S, you can go like SS, or you can do, what's another one? I think A, you can do that too. Some of them you slide, like E. All of them you can slide. So I taught you the sliding way, because that works for all of them.
okay,
But some of them, there are specific things you can do different.
okay.
And I'm never the example because I get lazy with it because my name is Tammy and I have the 2 M's and it's straight habit and I'll do slides, sometimes I'll do double.
Yeah, it depends.
After 25 years, it just kind of,
Hey,
Yes, so, and that's the thing when you're watching someone, it's just like when we speak English. I'll
Yeah.
use English for an example. We might talk one way, but if you're teaching someone who doesn't know English or has basic English skills, you want to make sure you teach them the right way.
yeah.
So I might make a joke in class and say, this sign means y'allses. But I would not want someone who's learning English to be saying y'allses.
Yeah.
You know, I would not want them to say that. You all hear that, and you're like, oh, that's a good one. You know, it makes sense to you. You know I'm joking. Someone who's learning English would be like, huh? You know, and so that's kind of what we're looking at here. You all are on the flip side of that, but with sign language. So you might see her and I do something, and it's good to ask because you know it's interesting stuff there. But just know the way I'm teaching the rules that'll get you through every time.
Yeah.
And we can add more to it later, and you know you can see the nuances there. Do we have more questions? No? Okay. Well, in that case, I got a very definitive no from the back row there. So,
Yeah, get on with it.
yeah, just get on, come on. So, all right, let's just jump right in then. Let's do some quick review. I won't do a full long review. We knew we'd get to the point where we couldn't just review everything every week. But what's again? Again? How about like? Like? How about no with a K? No.
No, we
Yeah, with a K, like K-N-O-W?
Oh, is that a no?
Yeah, instead of no, yeah.
can't. Correct that yourself this week.
Yeah, I know, I caught myself. It's definitely the beginning of the school year, because my poor students at work are just like, you know, they're like so brain dead already. You know, we were talking about states, or cities. We were talking about how to sign, we were reviewing different cities. Because I'm working with ASL2, and they learned that in ASL1, and we're reviewing stuff. And so I'm like, I'm running through different cities. I'm like Chicago, Philadelphia, and then they're like, and this one kid goes, wait up, nope, never mind. I was going to ask how you signed the city of Ohio. Then I thought about that one. And I'm like, the city of Ohio, I like that one. So, the great city of Ohio. Hey, what's up? Okay, well, oh no, we walked away. Never mind. See you later. All right, annoyed. How about correct? Correct. Y'all are getting this. Y'all are. True. All right, how about finish?
Wait,
Sorry?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no.
Do that one more time.
Finish.
Okay, backwards front.
Yep.
Okay.
Finish. Finish. You can also do a one hand. It means like cut it out. Because you got that mouth thing too. That's a fun one. I use it with my kids a lot.
Paul said he was watching you sign, because we go to the 11:30 service,
Yeah.
and you were making some very strange facial
I
expressions.
do that.
He
I
said,
do that.
I could never do that on stage like
You
that.
think that, but you can't. I
He
promise.
can, he's very shy.
I'm in a character.
It's part of the language. It's part of the language, and so I do tend to. Even before I learned sign language, I was one of those who just had a real expressive kind of face. Anyways, most interpreters, when they're learning to interpret, it's like a struggle to make them have more facial expressions. I was the one where they were like, tone it down, dude. Too much. You're freaking us out over here. Like, we're not sure what's going on with your face. So, and it also was when you're interpreting, you always want to match the speaker. So, here it's great because Pastor Dan is just so animated and crazy, and you're kind of like, you're keeping up with him, you get those facial expressions anyways, but especially when we were in college and we'd have different preachers, some of them were just boring. So when you have someone up there just talking like this the whole time, that's how you interpret it. Just like this the whole time.
And you have half your group go to sleep.
Yeah, but you know what? If half the hearing people are asleep, then hey, equal access, right?
Yep.
So, and so we're there. We're there to provide equal access, and if everyone else is falling asleep, then, it's fine. It's fine. So, finished already. How about not yet? Late. Late. This is part of it too. Late. When. When, very good. Tomorrow. Tomorrow. All right, and now we're in lesson 7. Lesson 7. By the way, since we're talking about lesson 7, how do you sign the number 19?
So random.
That's 16.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, 19, very good, very good, very good. It's okay, I'm not picking on you, it's just that. Yep, 19. Make it 9 and you shake it. So just want to make sure y'all are keeping up with your numbers. So our first one. Shake. Oh no, you are fine also. You did it the other way. You did 10, 9.
Can you do win again? Because I wasn't here last week.
Win. Win.
Oh, so like this. Oh.
Yeah, I guess I can run through all the
It's
ones
kinda
from
weird.
last week. I didn't realize that was last week when I was running through the vocab till I hit C. And I was like, oh yeah, that starts today. I should probably review all of last week's. That might be a good idea. So, okay, you do an O and a K. That one's pretty easy. Right, correct. Right is incorrect, not right as in to the right. Wrong.
Does it matter how you do your fingers? I mean, does it matter which way they're facing?
Not really, no. I'm always trying to figure out, like, how do they face which ways? Right, right. You got it. That's perfect. Right. Just what feels comfortable. It shouldn't feel awkward. Like if it feels awkward, take a step back and like, what am I doing wrong here? So, right. Wrong. 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 You can also twist it and do wrong. You know, I've seen that also. A twist. You just do it wrong. Something you should know about me: I am never wrong.
I've never
True. Understand? Ding. Understand. Yep. Ding. Ding. Make sure the back of your hand is facing out.
Yeah.
And if you want to know the joke sign, understand. Stand.
Oh, yeah.
Understand. Yeah. Slow L.
Are you
Okay.
pulling our leg?
Sorry? Yeah, that's a joke sign. I am pulling your leg. It's a joke sign. This is the actual sign, understand. But seriously, this sign it's one of those signs you still need to know it because it's like, in the deaf community, it's just one of those like,
Humor things.
yes, and it's just one of those old jokes that everybody knows. And so you all, yes, it's just one of those jokes like when your kid goes, I'm hungry, and you go, hi hungry, I'm dad. All of us have heard that joke before. You know, it's just one of those jokes that if you speak English, you've heard it. And so this is one of those jokes where if you've signed, you've seen it. Like, it's just one of those old jokes that it's like, okay, you know, for someone who knows signs, it's kind of like, ha 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 ha, good one. You know, for people who are learning, they're like, oh, but I mean, still, it's good to be exposed to it, so you get that. So, we did already finish, not yet and late. When we did that today. Yep, late. Today. And then tomorrow. Do we have any questions on it? Today. Yeah, if you do that, it's play.
That's,
And then party.
Okay, that's my new favorite song.
Party.
That's a
Party.
cool one.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm teaching my quiet sign language, by the way. It's time I get to
Perfect.
practice.
Fantastic. Yeah, play, party. Party.
I'm party.
Yeah. Oh, how do you do it? What do you do? Oh, you do it with peas? Yeah, you can. I've seen it with peas plenty of times. I've seen party. I've also seen it done this way, party. So I've seen party. You just can't do party because that's play. So, but party, party, party. And tomorrow. Any questions? All right. All right, now we're in lesson 7. So, see, not the kind with the water, but the kind you do with your eyes. C. I actually, some people do it with like a V. I do actually make a K. I just find that more comfortable for me. I do C. But you can do C. You see that? See that? I do it with this C. Okay. C. C. Sometimes I'll do it with a V if I'm using it more directionally too. If I'm like, oh, that's really more of look if you think about it. Like telling them to put their eyes over here, like, look. But I can be like, I see you. I see you. But I think we all know this sign. You know, someone's just like,
Yeah.
do that to your kids. You know, and sit there.
Oh, yeah.
Better behave. So that's what I use with my son. Behave. So, but C. Makes sense. You got eyes. C. My deaf pastor, my old one, he had in Jacksonville. He had glasses, and so he would be like, you know, one time he was like, watching you. And I go, you're watching me? Because you have glasses for that he had a good laugh over that one. So, you know, you can make jokes with it and everything. So C. And then later, alligator. I can't teach you later without alligator. And it's also a sign for the best college football team. So,
Yeah.
How do you do, go Gators?
Oh, dear.
you could just do like go Gators,
Yeah.
Gators, you know, something to that effect. So, okay, not my wife, it's okay. So, sorry, I got to have my phone out, so it's, I hate
Alright.
needing to do, I'm sure y'all understand.
We get it.
But unless it's my wife, I won't be answering it, so, if it's my wife, yeah, later. Yeah. The question or
No, I was waving by.
Oh, wait a minute. So we have C, we have later. So let's put these together for a second. Yeah. So now you think you do like see you later, but you can combine them. Even do it shorter. See you later. Yep, see you later. So you just like do the K or V, just do C and then make an L and just drop it. See you later. Actually, you probably saw me. I did that one just a second ago when I was talking to that guy through the door. I was like, see you later. So, see you later. So it's kind of weird to do. I'm going to do it in slow motion here.
There's a lot of shortcuts.
There are.
Yeah.
Yes, there are.
It's cool.
Yeah, my fingers don't work that fast. I'll be slow, see you later.
Oh, there are some that tripped me up for a while. One of my favorites was make it. So I know. So this is sign for make, and then it. And so you're making an I and a T while signing make. Have you seen that one?
No.
Make it. It took me forever. I was already a professional interpreter and still struggling.
I was
I'm sitting there like, make it. I can't do it. Make it. It took a lot of practice for that one. Make it. Make it. I also practice a lot. I'm proud of this. I can spell cat and dog at the same time.
Oh, yeah, you should
That's
have.
amazing.
I did. That took hours in front of a mirror to be able to do that. Anyways, make it. That's another one. Same time is another one that took me a while to get. So you start like with I love you hands, touch like here like time, and then bring them down and make Y's. That's same time. It's like time same time.
So,
mhm.
later though, if you're just not doing see you later, just
Later.
later,
Later.
you use the
You
two
can.
hands.
It depends. If you're saying it more casually, like later, like you can just do later. Later, you can do that.
But
I've
how
seen it.
about later in the day,
Later, you would do it with the hand.
you
yes,
do
yeah.
it the,
Later.
you're using the two hands though.
The answer is it really, really, you can get away with either way. So I've seen deaf people telling stories that'd be like later, and they would do it like that, and I've seen them telling stories that'd be like later. I've seen it both ways.
Okay.
So the proper way to sign later is later. But it's one of those signs that has just been,
It gets
abbreviated so much
more
it's
into
just
slang.
become
Yeah, just-
accepted.
Yeah,
It's like a slang word that's
Yeah.
just kind of become normal.
okay.
That, it's just kind of just become accepted over time. Because really, isn't that how all words
Yes.
started off that way as slang words and then
Yeah.
just got accepted over time? So,
Selfie.
selfie, yes.
Peeps.
Yes, peeps. One of the things I do is I try to get my students to teach me their slang words. And then I try to use them in class. It always gets a good laugh, but that's always fun. Saying stuff like lit. That one means it's really cool.
That's lit,
So-
dude.
Yeah, hey. Yeah, I'll start off class back. All right, today is going to be lit, everybody. And they're all like, oh my goodness, don't ever do that again. And I just said that on video. So
Yes, you did.
All right, so let me just move on to my lesson. So that's something I try to do in my classes, and it always gets a good laugh, and especially when you're teaching high school, some humor in there keeps them engaged a lot more because it's boring. Why did they want to be there? I mean, so.
We're going to use that word, so.
Exactly. So it keeps things related too, because then I'll sign it. I'll sign like how I would sign something like that. And usually, I'm just signing the concept of it. So for that, I sign like it's really it's cool. Now they're learning to sign cool, and they think they're learning some slang term, but it's really just to sign cool. So I'm teaching them. Yes, it makes my boss happy, which means I get a paycheck, which means my wife's happy and my life's good. So. People.
Happy wife, happy life.
Yeah. Before I was married, I used to think, man, I can't believe people say, you know, happy wife, happy life. Yeah, okay. Now that I'm married, I'm like, yeah, no, that makes sense. I get it. Makes sense. People. People. So I do it towards me. You would think you do it with P's, and you will see some people do it with P's, but really it's just easier to do with K's. And I do bring them towards me. I guess you did. Anyways.
But
I will
it
not attempt to do that on camera.
doesn't matter.
I have seen it both ways, so I'm not willing to
I'm
say.
doing it this way, and I'm like, am I doing it that way?
I'm not willing to say it doesn't matter because I've seen deaf people do it both ways. You will only see me do it this way, so
That feels weird.
it does. See, it feels weird for me to do it the other way. So
Oh, yeah, it feels better this way.
yeah, see, it really. Yeah, but I've seen people. How do you sign it?
Backwards.
You
Yeah.
sign it backwards,
Coming towards me.
coming towards you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. Well,
I had a deaf teacher, and that's how he taught me, so.
well then, hey, stick with that. If that's what you're comfortable with, stick with it. So I mean, whatever works for
Yeah,
you.
totally switched, that just feels weird.
Yeah, no, hey, if it feels weird for you, then stick with it. Like I said, I've seen enough of it this way where I'm not willing to say that, you know, it's wrong if you do it that way. So stick with whatever way feels comfortable in that sense. If you're more comfortable doing it that way, go ahead. This way, go ahead. I'm gonna stick with this way. So, because I also learned it from a deaf teacher. That's the funny thing, and there's so much variation in sign language. I've had students before who like transferred in from other schools, and you know they'll have a teacher and they'll have just different signs that they'll use, and I'll know the variation and stuff, but I teach it a different way, and I'll just tell them like, hey, if that's the variation, that's the sign you want to use. I've seen that sign. That's a sign people use, and no, I don't care.
It's just important to know both ways.
Exactly. Yes, to an extent. I will say that to an extent. So, because there are some signs that are so regional, it's just not worth teaching here, that are just so out there. A good example of that, and here I go, I'm about to teach it to you, is like 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. They only do that in Ohio. You never see that anywhere else. And it's just, it's nice to be aware of it, but I don't expect to see you all using it because we're not in Ohio. So it just wouldn't make sense to see you signing like that. So I do try to teach you the variations, but I do leave out some of them that I've seen just because you don't need it. Like it would just be adding a whole lot more onto there. I'd rather spend that time, I'd rather you use that space right now to put a different sign in there, if that makes any sense whatsoever. So, people, how many? How many? Yep, how many? How many? How many? And there's many, 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 many. This also can be many if you do it with your face. How many? Many. Many, 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 many people in class. Many. You do. How many? How many with that? Those facial expressions. How many? Children. Yep. Children. Children. You think this is a child, but good boy. Children. Children. So my wife says I treat my kids too much like dogs because you know I play fetch with them. I don't get it. I mean, I throw the kid, the dog brings them back. I mean, it just so children or children, children, as opposed to the sign for kid, kid. So this one is not always, but a little bit can be a little bit more negative, kind of like kid. You know, there's a difference. If y'all, there's a little bit of a connotation difference there. Kid. You know, get that bratty little kid out of here. You know, that's kind of the feeling you get with kid. Not always, but sometimes. And this sign really is from like snotty-nosed little brats. That's why it's at your nose. So it's got kind of a more negative feeling than this one. This one's just children. This one's more like that kid. So I hope that kind of makes sense to you. But this sign means kid also. But children, child. On the way. So, aunt. You're going to make it A. You're going to shake it right here. Aunt. And I'll teach you something important after the next one. Some of you are already like, know where this is going. So, we'll try it at you. I think you do. Uncle. You're going to make a U and put it up here. So now, when we're talking about especially family signs, male signs are always up here. Female signs are always down here. So we have uncle and aunt. So did we already cover mom and dad?
Yeah.
I already told you this, didn't I?
Yes, mom, dad, son.
Now forget it then. So you already know this. Uncle, aunt. So I did already tell you that, didn't I? It's gonna go on my full spiel. I was all ready.
Cousin.
I know, man, I was all ready for that spiel too. Forgot that was, anyways. So, alright, uncle, aunt. I've been teaching so much sign language lately, I'm never really sure like did I teach this at Maitland, did I teach this here? I never know. So, it is, I'm so busy teaching sign language these days. So, but it's a good thing.
Do you shake uncle?
You do, yep, you give it a little shake, uncle, aunt. So I guess you all knew where that was going, you're all just too polite to say anything. Feel free to say something, be like, you already said this. What was it, one time we brought our kids to the doctor. This is off topic, but that's okay. We brought our kids to the doctor, and for some reason he thought, it was for Oakley, and he thought it was her 1-year checkup, but it was her 2-year checkup. And so he comes in, he's like, oh, she's 1, and he goes through like this whole spiel. And we're like, she's 2. And he's like, oh, she is? All right, well, in that case, and then he does like this whole like pre-rehearsed spiel again. We're like, oh, okay. It's like he's got like these different things. He walks in and sees how old the kid is and says the exact same thing, whatever's going on. It was kind of funny, but I was like, that's how he gets through doing this all day. He's got it all memorized up here. He just says the same thing, whatever the situation is. So, aunt, uncle, boy. It's the bill of a baseball cap. Hell, you even got a baseball cap right there. Boy.
What if you do have like a hat on or anything like that? Does it affect anything?
Not really, just don't knock it off your head.
Right, but I mean, so like you would just, I mean, still like.
Yeah, you can still, yeah. you can
Okay,
still
so like
do
if
it.
you had anything that goes on your forehead, could you do it on the hat? I mean.
You could do it on like the tip of the hat, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, you
so
could
does
do
it
that.
affect anything?
No.
Okay.
No, now like if I'm going into like an interpreting assignment,
Yeah.
especially one that's more formal, I'm not wearing a hat.
Right.
So it just would mess with my signs too much. But for like just casual conversation, it doesn't matter. Sunglasses would mess with you though. I
Oh,
try
yeah.
to avoid
Okay.
sunglasses because you can't see the eyes. But that depends though. That depends also. It depends on the circumstance. I mean, if I'm hanging out with a bunch of deaf people at the beach, I'm wearing sunglasses. I don't care. If I'm interpreting at the beach, I'm not wearing sunglasses. So it always depends on the context. And that does happen. I got married on the beach and we had an interpreter at our wedding, so those jobs pop up. When you're an interpreter though, you get all kinds of weird jobs. So my favorite was I did Monster Jam one time, the monster trucks. That was like the best assignment because literally they'd just be like, grave digger, and then they'd rev the engine, you can't hear anything, so you just like, grave digger, and they're like, look, and that's all you do the whole time. It was awesome. I loved that job. That was like one of the best jobs I got. That and the comedy show, that was fun too. That was tough. That was fun. It was fast. I did the smart thing. I don't do a lot of smart things, but I did the smart thing. And I knew who the comedian was, they told me the name, and I went and watched as many of his videos online as I could. So I already knew his jokes and his punchlines and stuff, so I was prepared. So that helped me a lot, but it was still tough. But it was fun though, that was a fun job. Thankfully I had a team for that one too, so we got to switch every like 20 minutes or so, every 30 minutes. So it wasn't like, 3 hours of just like signing the whole time. That'd be exhausting. Especially that, because it's so quick, and jokes are just so hard to interpret, because you got to get the timing right, and you got to get the, your facial expressions communicate so much with them, and it is a bonus string. I tell that to my students, and they go, "A what?"
Yeah, that's the same.
So, yeah. I stopped telling you stuff before. All right, and then, oh, I see. This is the equivalent to like, just like a. Oh, interesting. When someone tells you something and it's like really kind of awkward and you're not really sure how to respond, you just go, interesting. That's like, That's what it's like saying,
So it's basically a Y, you're just.
Yep, it's a Y that you're moving back and forth. Sometimes the deaf will go like this. They'll go, oh, I see. Or, oh, I see. Oh, I see. Oh, I see. So some deaf people go like that. They'll go, oh, I see. That one's actually more of the interesting. If you see this one, sometimes they're making a joke, sometimes it's like they're going, that's interesting. But this is like, sometimes you'll see it with this mouth as you.
See, I would think you do O-I-C, like, so, but that's what you're.
It's the joke though.
Yeah.
They're just, because they know those letters sound like that. and
No, but I
stuff.
mean, like with this, it's like,
Oh, yeah.
you would think you would do like,
Oh,
yeah,
I see. Yeah,
yeah.
no, it's just one sign for that. Sometimes you'll even see just the lips. And that means like, oh, I see, like, That's the equivalent to like, oh, yeah, it doesn't really mean anything, you're just like, So, we got a new teacher at work who's deaf, and he does that one all the time. He'll be talking to me just like that. So, it's always fun to see those things, like, hey, I know what that means. So, I haven't seen people use that in a long time, cool. So, let's do these practice sentences and we'll get you all out of here. Because I want to get out of here because I have tacos waiting on me at home, and I love tacos. So, how many children do you have?
0.
That works, yes. Yeah, what is have? Yeah, that's good, that's good. Some of y'all are switching the grammar up on me, I love it. Have. Have.
I think I missed it.
So, alright, I've seen a lot of different ones. I'm waiting to see, but we'll get all those out. Alright, you have options with this one. You go, you have children. How many? How many children do you have? Both ways make sense. I told you all before, ASL sentence structure is more loose than English's. So you have options with how you do that. So, children you have how many? How many children you have? Anything to that effect works. There's no real hard and fast rule. It must be this way with this one. So, my uncle lives there.
I know, I'll do that.
It's okay.
What's the name?
Yeah. Very good. My uncle lives there. My uncle lives there. So, there is also a thing in ASL. Did we talk about rhetorical questions? Do I have time to give this? I do. Just a little bit. Anyone remember what a rhetorical question is from English class?
Question that's not supposed to be answered. It's
Exactly. It's a question that's not supposed to be answered. It's when I say to my children, "Are you sure you want to do that?" I don't want them to actually answer it and say, or probably a better example would be, "Do we hit our brother?" So I'm not really looking for an answer. You just imagine like I do. So not really looking for an answer. It's just a question to get someone to think. So someone gets up and gives a speech. Do you want to live in a better world? Well, of course you do. Who doesn't? Like, what kind of question is that? It's a rhetorical one. In ASL, we have rhetorical questions, and they are not the same thing. A rhetorical question is a question you put in the statement to add more information in. So an example, reason it popped up in my head, is because this sentence you can go, my uncle lives where? There. So you can sign that in ASL, and it makes sense to a deaf person. You say, my uncle lives where? And you can even sign the place. Naples, Florida. That's where my uncle lives. My uncle lives where? There. So I don't expect you to have that memorized now, but I thought, what better time to expose you to it than now? So my aunt has 3 daughters, or my aunt, depending where you're from. My aunt.
Oh, daughter.
Yeah. Very good.
Oh, no.
All right, now don't be tripped up. The one thing I saw a few people do, 3 and 6. Remember, not 3, 3. Not 3.
I do forget.
So it's common for people to forget, and I saw a few people do it. I'm not trying to pick on any one person, but that's why I get paid the big bucks. Look here, that was a joke. My aunt has 3 daughters. That one's just pretty straightforward. See you later.
Oh, yeah.
See you later. See you later. Yeah, alligator. See you later, alligator. And then, hello, my name is? Very good. You know, I made these lessons before that song came out, where it's like, "Hello, my name is," you know, that song. So you know, I made this before that song came out. But it's kind of funny now that I'm there. Anyways, do we have any questions today? Round off class.